Welcome to North of the Wall Garage. This is our final Toyota Sequoia review video with this TRD Pro, where we look at the lighting differences at night with different settings, take a night drive, give an overall high-level review, and then we get into which trim is really the best one to buy based on our experience. I really do enjoy this truck. It drives like a truck. There's no hiding it. Nothing like a unibody SUV. Has every kind of property of a pickup truck that you would expect, just sort of with a cap on the end of it. But the powertrain is incredibly powerful, almost 600 pound-foot of torque with that hybrid motor helping the twin-turbo V6. The Sequoia gets up and moves. I've covered quite a bit about the Sequoia in several different comparison videos, so I won't belabor a lot of the points, but compared to the competition, the reason you would pick the Sequoia is really because you're a Toyota loyalist. And maybe the X factor that the resale value will remain high versus its competitors. That is the thing that this truck does better than its competitors. And it certainly is the most off-road capable out of all of those on that list, including the different various off-road trims for the Armada and for the Expedition and so on and so forth. The Sequoia TRD Pro is the most capable for a full-size SUV, probably out there. Again, LX600, that's a true Land Cruiser 300 series, but the difference there is that it's not really a full-size. It's considered a full-size, but the Sequoia is the biggest product that Toyota makes, and really is the competitor with those other vehicles. Besides everything else that I just mentioned there, that is what the Sequoia excels at. Everything else, I would say it's mostly good at, it's not excellent at. Interior room is definitely a drawback. That's probably the thing it's actually worst at, right, compared to its competitors. Fuel economy, well, the hybrid is optimized for power, not for fuel economy. I'll tell you what though, this lighting package is incredible. Folks were asking me to do more lighting reviews, so this is a street with no street lights. Here go my brights, and I have the light bar on. Look at that spread, it's insane. And even with the light bar off, okay, my sides aren't covered as much, but light bar on, it's wild. So the lighting on the Sequoia is amazing, I'll say that. I won't belabor too many of the exterior and interior features on the Sequoia because those two comparison videos that I have versus the GX550 and the Armada are great reference points where I go into very deep detail about all the different exterior and interior features of the Sequoia compared to those other two cars. So I'll post those links in the description so you can see them if you want. And you know, the Sequoia fits the Toyota mold perfectly because it looks so great from the outside. Really nice, strong creases, strong bodywork. Looks physically quite large. And it is physically large. It does have the 3 markers in the middle grille, which are federally mandated for vehicles over 80 inches. The Sequoia is just a shade under 80 inches, but it's right at that limit. It is physically large. The mirrors are huge for the vehicle. So when I pull into my garage, it is quite a tight squeeze. But as I've said in other videos, in a classic Toyota situation here, it's big on the outside and smaller on the inside. It's not small in here. I'll never call it small. The Sequoia's cabin for a young family is fairly comfortable, but it is smaller than the outside would present, and it is smaller than its competitors. A lot of that has to do with the load floor. You have a big bump for the hybrid battery there going all the way back, so your third row is basically on like a ledge. The ceiling is a little bit compressed from the panoramic roof, so it's a little bit of a tighter squeeze in here than competitors. So driving at highway speed here in the 2025 Sequoia TRD Pro, the stock roof rack that comes in the TRD Pro tends to howl. You know, going 74 miles an hour, it is howling. And that's one thing, if you've owned any sort of roof rack, you're kind of used to additional noise. But with the single pane glass, you do hear it quite a bit. And I think the other thing to note is that the aftermarket does solve this problem. So if you're getting a 1794 or a Capstone without the big roof rack, I wouldn't worry about that at all, because the Sequoia is a truck where you'd want the roof rack since interior room is a little bit compromised, and especially storage behind the third row. I would highly suggest looking for a Prinsu rack made by CBI Off-Road for the roof. It'll run the full length of the roof. It's about $1,000. It has a much higher load capacity, both static and dynamic, so it works very, very well. I highly, highly recommend that, made in Idaho. So it's a great product. And there are other off-road racks like that, but those will be much quieter because they have fairings in the front that really basically smooth out the wind. So right now this is so loud because the wind is getting underneath it. So that's something that from the factory I wish Toyota thought a little bit more about. I said it in the GX550 comparison video to the Sequoia, and I said it about the GX550, but after having lived with the Sequoia now for a little bit of time and driven it multiple times, I would say the Sequoia is also extremely fun to drive. My point about the GX550 was it drives kind of like a sports car because it's small and it's powerful, and the Sequoia, certainly from a steering perspective, is much more truck-like. Even a power band perspective is much more truck-like. But in a way too, it's almost like a muscle car with all that power in this chassis. And it's super easy in two-wheel drive on a turn or anywhere to kind of chirp the rear wheels as you come out and deploy that instant torque that the hybrid battery is delivering to the road. So you're not as all lost here for my folks who want something bigger and family friendly, but also still fun to drive. I mean, the Sequoia is certainly that. But, you know, let's not forget the drawbacks versus the competition. Ride quality, most of the competitors have air suspension. Is the ride quality bad in the Sequoia? No, not at all. It's not bad. But the competitors with air suspension are much more comfortable. It's just true. The seats and interior fit and finish. The interior fit and finish, in terms of the way things are constructed, is great. The materials are poor and do not reflect an $83,000 truck in this TRD Pro. They reflect maybe a $70,000 truck, maybe below that, maybe a $65,000 truck, maybe a $60,000 truck. It really does go kind of that direction for me. I think the material selection in this truck for the sticker price is terrible. So that's one thing. The construction is fine. There's no real issues there, although, you know, things like this, the caps on visors are missing. Some are built with it, some are built without it. That's disappointing, and maybe that's the San Antonio factory issue, or I don't know if it's a Toyota issue at large, but that is disappointing. So, you know, I think the question becomes, what are you really paying for that sticker price? Is Toyota just straight pocketing all that cash on what appears to be kind of an inexpensive setup in the interior? Definitely not. I think the money goes far in places you can't see with this truck. The powertrain's really complex. Obviously, a hybrid powertrain's more expensive to produce, just by definition. And frankly, the powertrain is very good. I've talked about this in my other videos. The start-stop is super seamless. I actually enjoy having the hybrid, not something I think I would say before. So it drives really nicely. They've done a really good job with the powertrain. And then the capability. Obviously, the Fox-branded shocks, stuff like that's not cheap. The licensing to do that. The control arms in the front are forged. There are a lot of high-end and nice materials that have been used in the construction of the mechanicals of this vehicle. So, you know, I think the scenario where you buy one of these and you're happy with it, you're buying it for the Toyota name, which is the whole kind of title of this video, right? You have to be a devotee to Toyota to, I think, look at this and decide to buy it. You're more than interested in the resale aspect of owning one of these, where you can own it for 5 to 10 years and it's going to be worth more than anything in the competition. Also true. And, you know, you don't mind it being a little more rough and tumble of a truck. I mean, one of the nice things about having hard touch surfaces and lesser materials is they're not finicky at all. You don't have to worry about, you know, them getting damaged or scratched or whatever, because it's a truck and who cares? And if things get messed up, it's fine. It's hard materials. They're not fancy. It is what it is. Live life and enjoy the vehicle for all of its capability. So if I were going to buy a 2025 or 2026 now Toyota Sequoia, the TRD Pro, I love the way it looks. I love the BBS wheels, but I think I would go for the 1794 edition. You get some more luxury features inside. You get sort of a nice tan colored leather. I'll put a picture of that in now. And it's just a little less bro-y, I'll kind of say, and it's a little more mature. And then if you want to run bigger tires than what's on the TRD Pro anyways, you have to lift it. So yeah, you can run 35s if you do like a collar lift on this thing, but that's not really a real lift. That's kind of like a for appearances only. So if you really want to run 35s legitimately, you have to change the suspension anyways. So even if you're interested in doing more off-road stuff or whatever, I think the 1794 edition, you get a little more maturity in the appearance, you get nicer features inside, and then you can put a bigger tire on it after all that's said and done. So I love the way the TRD Pro looks right out of the box, but if you're modifying or doing more camping or you want something more custom, I would strongly consider taking a look at the 1794 edition, and that's probably the one I would buy. As always, thanks for watching. Appreciate everyone's comments. Really interested to hear what you think about the 2025 Toyota Sequoia. What trim would you get? Would you go with the TRD Pro, or would you go 1794 or Capstone, or maybe something more basic and build it up? Interested to hear. Leave a comment and tell me what's up. Appreciate everyone's subscriptions, likes, engagement. It means a lot to me, and I enjoy talking to each and every one of you. Hope to see you in the next video.